Welcome back, chooms. Today we have a lot to talk about. CD Projekt Red has finally revealed gameplay trailer for the upcoming 2.0 patch, which was renamed from 1.7 version so it doesn't confuse you, and Phantom Liberty expansion that is coming out on the 26th of September, so in about 4 weeks. Now keep in mind that the patch itself should drop sometimes close to it as well. We shall see if it's going to be in the same week like the expansion or maybe a week before, but Marcin Momot, who is the global community director, said this. We haven't shared that info yet, and you can expect to learn more about 2.0 deployment as we get into September and close to the release date of Phantom Liberty. Now when it comes to the update and expansion itself, we have learned a lot from the gameplay trailer, so let's go through it all. One of the first things we get is that Mr. Hands, as expected, will be our main fixer, or at least one of the bigger fixers in Pacifica Combat Zone. Through him we are most likely getting airdrop courier escort missions that you will be able to do indefinitely, so there won't be a cap on the amount of escort missions you can do, but this will rather be one of the better ways of making money in the game. Those shipments will be guarded, and once we start escorting, it seems that this will trigger a chase that we had a chance to see in the trailer. Combined with vehicle combat, this has potential to be really fun to engage in. We will start those by approaching this box, connecting to it, and then, well, all hell will break loose. This is a very positive step forward, because generally making money in this game after you finished everything can be a bit tedious because you have to do it through looting and selling. That becomes a problem once you cleared out most of the gangs from the inner part of the city, so you have to travel to Pacifica or outside into the Badlands to go after respawning enemies and loot them and then sell that afterwards. Next up, let's talk about weapons. In the gameplay trailer we have seen a few, which I don't think is the total amount of weapons we can get, but rather some of them. First one is the new shotgun called Order. It seems to be a heavily modified dual tech barrel, one that has a very cool Maelstrom logo in the back. These weapons we will be able to get in the black market because, most likely due to its modifications, it's branded as illegal, so it cannot be sold in regular shops. After that we have Grit, new handgun type, which seems to be smaller caliber weapon used by Barghest, as we can see from their logo. Also comes with an extended mag, it seems. Then we have Warden, new SMG that due to its coloration seems to be another weapon Barghest will be using a lot. It even looks a bit like a nail gun or a hand drill with this cartridge that is usually a battery, but it can also have some nails in it, but not in this case. Obviously this one has ammo. Now we have two new sniper rifles. The first one is, it seems, a Nokota regular one with a nice foregrip that should potentially be good for recoil, because in general in this game all sniper rifles have a bit of a recoil to control. And the second sniper rifle is Tsunami Razetsu, which by this cool looking viewfinder and neural link tells us it's going to be a smart weapon, meaning bullets will lock onto the target itself, which can potentially allow us for a lot more mobility while using the weapon. CDPR also teased Thermal Katana that was initially supposed to be a part of the base game, and there was a way to obtain a katana with similar effect, but nothing like this, fully thermal, which we are finally getting with this expansion. And for the end we have Hercules, which is a new special weapon. I'm still not sure what this one is, either some sort of a belt-fed LMG, but the front barrel of the weapon seems like it was catching on fire, and it withstands fire a lot, so at one point I thought it was maybe a flamethrower. Because we can also see danger radioactivity sign here, so it also could be something which does poison of some sort, but of course we shall eventually find out once the expansion itself drops. Now let's head over to Cyberware. So with 2.0 patch, a lot of things will change regarding armor and how we get armor in general in this game, where clothes that don't logically have any armor on them won't give you armor anymore, but rather only certain types of outfits. So right away in the menu on the right we can see armor, which seems to be, going to a value of 1000, and it's going to increase or decrease depending on what cyberware we use, what sort of clothing we use, especially the one connected with subdermal armor. And on the left we see Humanity Index, where if you go overboard with cyberware, it is going to have a toll on your body, most likely in terms of slower regen or other debuffs when it comes to health or stamina or something like that. But don't worry, there won't be a possibility to go full Cyber Psycho. That option is not added in the game. The overall menu will still look relatively the same, with frontal cortex, arms, skeleton, nervous system, operating system, face, hands, legs and circulatory system. And once they go into frontal cortex menu, we can see some of the already added and some of the new cyberware. We sadly right now don't have the specifics on what they do exactly. But of course we do know about one which we put in the frontal cortex, and that cyberware is Quantum Tuner, which is a tier 5 iconic cyberware, so this will also introduce the tier system, with 5 being the best one. So Quantum Tuner increases, or well, decreases our Humanity Index by 20, and what it does is that whenever another cyberware implant is fully used, Quantum Tuner instantly restores its cooldown up to a max of 30 seconds. Also, it gives a passive effect with minus 10% cooldown time for other cyberware itself, and if you invest a lot into intelligence, it can be attuned, so it allows you to deal more damage per attribute point. Next up, let's talk about perks. They have been completely redesigned from the original one, changing how UI looks and organizing them a lot better, so it's easier to navigate and follow what you want for your character. As we can see from this, you can fully decide to focus on one subtree, but you can still be able to, connect them in some way, so you can always pick and choose what exactly you want for your playthrough and your character. Some of those perks include abilities like having a finisher Blade Runner perk that will allow you to slice through the enemies faster and initiate finishing moves when they are relatively at low health. Then we see Bullet Deflect perk, which will allow you to deflect rounds fired at you back to your attacker. Not sure if this is specifically tied to katana or any other melee weapon, but we shall find out once the expansion itself drops, but I kinda think this is only connected to katana itself. After that we have the Opportunist perk that it seems allows you to do finishers with other melee weapons, like for example Ripper, that we can see here V kinda slicing this guy up like it's nothing. Another perk I like a lot is also Air Dash, that will give us more mobility by allowing us to quick dash even up in the air to reach enemies more easily. And I do wonder how cool this can be if you combine it with a melee weapon rather than the ranged weapon like it's shown here. And also, we're going to talk about one of the coolest perk finishers, and that's Savage Sling, where you can literally take a dude and throw it at another dude. After that, we have the Pull perk combined with the Deadeye perk, that most likely going to allow us to initiate faster rate of fire on enemies, which in this case, were already stunned. We also had a cool moment before where V jumps from the bike and then uses a hammer to strike from the air into the ground. Not sure if this can be done without a perk, but adding this option is one of the coolest new features out there. There are also some cool Easter eggs with the skill tree where we can see Lucy, Rebecca and David icons, or well, their designs in the skill tree, which as I said is a very nice nod to the Edgerunners themselves. Now, besides the usual skill tree and perks, we will have another one, that being Relic skill tree, that will give us an ability to overload our abilities through the relic itself, making you a serious trouble for a few seconds. One of those perks is Launch Capacity Override for the projectile launch system cyberware, that is going to allow us for rapid fire, it seems, so now using this can be even more useful. It was kinda deadly in the original game, but with this, well, it's going to be a lot more useful for fights with more enemies in total. Then we have Special Mapping, which is connected to Mantis Blades, it seems, that allows us to zoom to the enemy from a distance, pretty much decimating him straight away, most likely increasing damage as well, and I do wonder if we can do this also without the Mantis Blades themselves. And for the end we have the Limit Breaker, which pretty much does what it says. It goes through our limits, so we can, take Gorilla Arms for example, and basically turn any enemy into goo and completely discombobulate them. One of those abilities is also emergency cloaking, which improves optical cyberware, meaning that during the fight you can activate this and enemies lose sight of you so you can flank them or run away in case you need to. When it comes to vehicles, they have also seen a huge rework, where now some cars will have the ability to have machine guns and rocket launchers attached to them, not all cars. Which makes sense because now with vehicle combat, other enemies will also have them as well, and you will be chased, so it's very useful to have that for defense. And from the selection of vehicles we can see, it seems all types will be here, from more nomad ones to the classic ones we already have in the game, with also adding cars with more classic muscle design from 60s and 70s. Even that Quadra that you get for pre-order is kinda like that. Also this car, for example, we can clearly see it has weapons in the front with lasers as well. Probably my new favorite vehicle so far, or at least a new version of the Herrera Outlaw GTS we already have in the game. Moving on, let's talk about the moment Mr. Hands said someone dispatched a hunter, which could signal that mercenaries will go after you, that being during the mission or after, but you will be chased by others in case you do something to them, which I think is an amazing addition because right now, as you're traversing Night City or anywhere else, these things can happen, so it makes everything interesting. This we can also connect with vehicle combat, as we have seen V running away from them, but also guess what? Finally, other NPCs will be driving bikes as well. If you haven't noticed already, besides some scripted events, NPCs don't use bikes in the open world in the original game. And that is finally changing now, luckily. We can even shoot out their tires and they can fly up in the air with a cool finisher. We will also be capable of hacking cars. So far we can see self-destruct, floor it and emergency brake. I think this is a very good addition, but I do wonder if we can hack all of the vehicles and not just the one, you know, chasing us, because I have some really cool ideas for regular NPCs driving cars. This also gets us to a revamped police system where now NCPD will actively be chasing you around. And they also got an upgrade because NCPD now has access to new vehicles, including the ones with machine guns and it seems rocket launchers as well. Besides that, NCPD will now set up roadblocks, so you have to think if you want to go through them, or, you know, flank them around, or just, you know, blow them up. With that, I also believe vehicle HP has also been redesigned so it doesn't blow up after a few rounds, but that also means you will have a harder time destroying other cars in this game and fighting other enemies chasing you. And on top of that, Max Tac has also been redesigned with new variation of officers that are now going to be heavily equipped with LMGs, as well as having that cool entrance where they jump from their AV onto the ground and then engage you. That is honestly something which was really missing from the original game, or well, previous versions. So to sum it all up, with Cyberpunk 2.0 we are getting a new district, dozens of new story quests and gigs, vehicle combat with mounted weaponry, revamped police system, combat AI overhaul so enemies will now properly hide behind cover and engage you with a lot more, how would I say, tactics than they did before. After that we have endless dynamic events and missions, redesigned cyberware and perks, new Relic skill tree with abilities, increased level cap, which is understandable considering it's an expansion after all, and 100 plus new items, which includes weapons, cyberware and fashion. So what is here free and what is a part of the paid expansion? As mentioned in the CDPR press release, redesigned skill tree, overhauled police system and vehicle combat will be a part of the update, or well, the patch, with everything else so far, as they said, being a part of Phantom Liberty expansion itself. And look, I mean, so far these are amazing improvements, and I'm glad that CDPR took their time to implement all of this and increase the overall potential of the game, which is Cyberpunk, because right now it has a lot more potential and it's being fully utilized with all of these updates and additions and features that are being added. And of course, keep in mind that the update as well as the expansion is coming out for PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S only. Also tomorrow we have RedStreams with Q&A at the end, where we will learn a lot more about the finer deeds, so I will be going live again to watch it with all of you, and I will have another video after that. Thank you for watching, chooms. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more, as well as join our community on Twitter and Discord. Also, huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and this is LKM signing out, and pretty much that's everything for today. Stay classy and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.